All right, Shalom, Shalom. This is your brother Issachar coming back at you with another lesson. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, all honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakak Radash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the 144,000 scattered across the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you. All right, in today's lesson, we're going to go into, fearing the Lord. All right, you have to fear the Lord, but put your trust in Him. So that fear is, it's a healthy fear. It's not like, you have to be walking around here, like a scaredy cat. No, it's just you got to fear the Lord, because, if you don't fear the Lord, then you're not going to make the adjustments. You're not going to care to get right with the Lord, So that fear is very needful, because people who don't have it are just going to be out here and are pretty much just going to say F it, which is a terrible thing, because people who just say F it, especially when it comes to the Lord, it's gonna end very terrible for them, extremely terrible. So, we're in a time of judgment where it's literally gonna be like Final Destination out here, literally, because the elect are pretty much almost sealed. The elect, and remember, once every member of the elect are sealed around the world, what that means is that they're sealed, is that they have woken up. Just like those of you that are new to this thing, are a few years in the truth, because, there was a time when you're in the world when you didn't know, but as soon as you heard this word, you woke up, right? Okay, so that's what it means by they're sealed, just a FYI. All right, because, there's always newcomers in this thing, who are just coming into the thing. So, yeah, that word sealed, it just means that, those elect members have been awoken. So this is why this word is so important to push. Because you comfort the flock, but the word wakes up the elect around the world. Okay, all you gotta do is hear this word, and it's like, something clicks in their mind, and they just know, because they're the Lord's elect. Remember, the elect, you guys don't even belong to yourselves. You belong to the Lord. Yep, because the Lord purchased the elect, and Lord willing, I'm part of it. And I'm hoping, because I don't know, but that's what we're hoping for. So, the the elect were purchased by the Lord's blood when He won that cross. See, that's why no one can pluck Him out of Yahweh's hand. Nobody, nobody. All right, so without further ado, let's get into Proverbs chapter 1. You know what? Let's start at verse 1 on down. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. All right, so who was Solomon? Yahweh Shai. Okay, who the world stubbornly calls Jesus Christ. All right, he came back many lives, just as all of us did. Okay, because all the prophets are back. Jeremiah, he's here. Isaiah, he's here. All right, Habakkuk's here. Ezra's, they're here walking the earth right now. Right now, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, all the prophets are back. Yep, there's some who went back to the spiritual realm right now, but most of the 144,000 who are the prophets, they're here walking the earth right now. Yep. Yeah, Zechariah, he's here. All the prophets, they're here. Daniel's here. Apostle Paul's here. Everybody's back. The dukes are back. The dukes of Edom are back. The scoffers are back. The same scoffers who are persecuting the prophets, same thing, because who was killing the prophets back in our day? It was our own people. Same thing. That's why you're doing these agents, well, bad agents are doing the same thing today, because you're the same people coming back in your lot. You know. See, and that's why we don't get all worked up in it, because we know that that's just your lot. You're just doing your job. You know. So prophecy must fulfill. Verse 2, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding. Right. So yeah, to receive instruction. So right here, what Solomon, remember, this is our Lord, right? So he came back first as Adam, and then he came back as Melchizedek, and then he came back as Isaac. Okay, then he came back as Quasiquado. Then he came back as Solomon. Then he came back as Yahushai. So he came all those different lifetimes as those people right there. All right, that was Yahushai. Yep. Yep. If a lot of you don't know out there, but Adam, that was our Lord. Yep, that was Yahushua. Yep, they come back, many lifetimes, many generations. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding. Yeah, because with all knowledge, you got to get understanding. Because if you don't understand what's going on, I mean, yeah, you can be a smart aleck. You know what I mean? You can memorize. You're like, oh yeah, I can memorize. All these scriptures and all that. But if you don't understand what it's talking about, it's no good. It's no bueno. All right. So this is why you need understanding, because then you're gonna be rooted in this thing. Okay. It's not about just being the smart, just who can memorize the most, and it's the thing is, do you understand what this thing's about? See, because if you understand what this thing's about, you're gonna be well rooted in this thing, because you're gonna know what it is. Okay, not just, oh yeah, I can memorize all these scriptures and look at me. No, it's not like that. If you don't understand what this book is saying, you're not going to be rooted in this thing. You see? To receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity. To verse 4, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. Right, because somebody out there with a decent head on their shoulders, they're gonna consider, they're gonna consider, they're going to, once they hear this, they're gonna put two and two together, because somebody with a decent head on their shoulders, whether it's a man or a woman, they're gonna be like, well, let me check it out, let me see what the prophets are saying is true. Let me fact check it real quick. Let's check it out real fast. The simple are gonna be like, nah, that's not true. Está loco. Está loca. But see, you're gonna say that, but without even searching it out. See, but just because you think you're the boss, you think you're the shiznit. See, So a wise man or a wise woman will consider, like, okay, well, let me see what the Lord is saying is true. Let's check it out. Then people who have, a decent, you don't got to be all, remember, like the smartest person out there and all deep. No, as long as you have a decent head on your shoulders, okay, you'll know, like, oh shit, excuse my Italian. You'll be like, damn, it is true, because if you pull out through the facts, you check, you take a step back, you slow it down, baby, and you just check things out and search it out, you'll see that what the Lord is saying, it adds right up. 2 + 2 = 4. You see? So that's why out there, you got preppers out there, you got people who are awakening, because they're looking like, yeah, hey, what is going on? Because only a fool would be like, oh yeah, just not even research anything and just, go because they know it's right, Because that's how a lot of people are. A lot of people, they're like that because they feel that they're so right in their mind that they don't even got to do no research because they're so smart. It's all about them. They're all that in a bag of chips, And there are some people out there, who are like, smart and stuff like that. But remember, there's always stuff that you can learn, And this is talking about the Lord here, the Creator, So it's you never can stop learning, You can never go far enough. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, okay, check this out. Look at what all the scientists here, all the smartest people here from all your top colleges, everything, and nobody still can search out everything on the earth. They still haven't learned everything on one planet. This is one planet, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine there's other realms, other galaxies, Imagine that, and with all these people, with billions of people on the earth, they still can't figure it out. They still can't figure out one planet. Imagine that. So there's questions forevermore. Remember that? Imagine, there's a spiritual realm, the spaceships, the Lord, the angels, the other realms, the other creatures. There's a lot. All right. See, but just imagine that. Imagine there's roughly around 8 billion people on the earth. Okay, and there's roughly around 8 billion people on the earth. You see, and they still can't figure out everything that's on this planet, on one planet, with all these people here. See? Because with the Lord, it's he's that major, Let me go to let me get that precept real fast. All right, right here. So this is 2nd Ezra, chapter 8, verse 21. Whose throne is inestimable. See, that means you can't even measure it. Okay, you can't even, whose throne is inestimable, whose glory may not be comprehended, before whom the host of angels stand with trembling. See that? So right here, his glory can't be comprehended because no one can figure him out. He's that far out there like that. You see, he's that far out there like that. Before whom the angels stand, before whom the host of angels. So this is very important right here, you guys. So right here, before whom the host of angels stand with trembling. So do you know what that right there host means? Okay, because there's two sides. The left-hand side angels and the right-hand side angels. Because the top angel on the left-hand side is Satan, Shaitan. The top right-hand angel is Yahweh Shai. See? Alright? So the host of angels, but who's in the middle that controls both? Yahweh. So right there, okay, because the Lord controls the left-hand side and the right-hand side. Remember that, If you're on the left-hand side, you were created to be on the left-hand side. You're not just doing it and oh yeah, you're just gonna, be wicked and all. No, you were chosen to do that. That's why you're doing what you're doing, And if you're being wicked, you're created to be wicked. See? And you're doing your job. You know what I'm saying? You didn't just wake up and say, yeah, I'm gonna do this now. I don't give a shit. No, you're created to do that. Yep. Imagine. Absolutely. So right there. So whose throne is inestimable because you can't even measure it. Imagine this earth. They can't even search out the ocean and all that, Imagine the Lord's throne. Imagine. Whose glory may not be comprehended because it can bug you out. It can make you go crazy. You can't figure out the Lord. Are you kidding me or what? Don't even start. Shit. Huh? Before whom the host of angels stand, the host, because the host means that there's two sides, the left hand side and the right hand side, of angels stand with trembling. So the angels are in fear before Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. And you got mortals out here, walking around like, yo, whatever, F it. If I die, I die, whatever. I don't give a crap. Good luck, because the angels stand in fear, who are powerful. Remember, one angel can take out the whole earth. That's how powerful they are, and the angels are in fear, trembling before Yahweh, and you got wicked Israelites out here like, yeah, F it, whatever. I'm just gonna eat pork, F it. I don't give a damn. Imagine. So let's carry on. And Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 6. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. So to understand, because remember, with all knowledge and wisdom, you got to get understanding. All right, because if you don't got understanding, then it's no good. It's no bueno. The fear of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, is the beginning of knowledge. Right, so that's the point right there. The fear of the Lord, because remember, the Lord He don't want you, being, like a little sissy out here, But you have to fear Him, because we're entering a time where society literally is going to collapse. You're literally not going to be able to do anything. Remember in the first pandemic, how fast it was? Remember how easy the elite shut down the whole world? How no one was able to do stuff, and it was hard. You can barely go to stores. You had to have your mask on and all that. Remember that? Remember when it first happened? When the COVID happened, or when that pandemic just happened. Remember? And remember, like the freeways were real empty. It was like a whole different world, because this whole place was shut down. A lot of people lost their businesses and all that. Well, it's about to get, it's about to happen again, but on steroids. We're really gonna go into a full bloom martial law. Where there's gonna be blue helmets out here, tanks on the street. Sedition, civil war. Yeah, because right now, people are just having their opinions. Because a lot of people, you guys still have your liberty. Because you still can do this. You guys can still say, well, I don't like that. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go do that. But once these soldiers and UN troops get out here, you're not going to be able to do that no more. Once these UN troops start separating your families, and chopping off heads and guillotines, which is very real. Okay, those concentration camps ain't no conspiracy. They're out there, and they're in every state in America. All right, and they're locked and loaded. They're fully staffed and they're ready to go. They're ready to rock. All right, and those guillotines are nice and sharp, nice and ready for you. All right, for those of you that don't repent. Okay, some of the elect, yes, are going to be martyrs. But they're going to go out manfully, and it's just the way it is, but that's only going to be a few, but the Lord has, remember, if that brother or sister has to go through that, that person has a strong spirit to endure that. All right. You got to remember that. Okay. Cause we're entering a time where you're about to see things happen to brothers, things happen to sisters in the faith. See that? And you have to hold it down. You can't get all bent out of shape. You gotta know that's their lot. Of course we try to help one another as much as we can, but when it comes down to that time, you gotta understand that is their lot. Same thing that happened with our Lord Yahushai. Okay, because remember when they took Yahushai, Peter got that sword and smote that he smote that soldier's ear off. And remember Yahushai said, no, don't do that. and he put his ear. Yahushua put his ear back and told him, don't do that, because it was prophecy. It had to happen. So of course it's gonna suck. It may not feel good, but this is why you have to prepare yourselves now. Okay, because some of you brothers and sisters out there are gonna witness that. You are gonna see brothers and sisters be persecuted right in front of you. Some of you might even witness brothers and sisters get put down right in front of you. See that? But that don't mean that the Lord wasn't with those people and those individuals. That just means that was their lot. This is why you got to prepare your minds now. Remember what happened to our Lord. What did he tell Peter? Did he tell Peter, yeah, let's get these soldiers, let's get them, let's roll on them? No. Okay, he told Peter, put the sword down, because that was his lot to go through on that cross. Because if he didn't go on that cross, we all would have been through out here. Through. See? So it's prophecy you had to fulfill. This is why you have to understand that. You got to understand that. You got to know what's going on. Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 7. The fear of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. See that? Because people despise this word, They hate it, because this is a lawless society where it's do as thou wilt, do whatever makes you feel happy, So people do not remember the Lord's all about order, okay? The Lord's all about order, correction, So, when so in this world, people don't like to be corrected, They can't be told anything, because once somebody, makes a manager in the society, let's say they're a manager at Best Buy, now they think they're the shiznit, because they have an Acura, they have a condo with a 55-inch screen, they got that, they just leased a new 2025 Acura. Now they're a manager at Best Buy. Now you can't tell them shit because, they're a boss, or they're a boss bitch. So fuck it then, So you can't be told nothing, so fuck it. That's on you then. That's the problem, because a lot of people out here got pride, and there's nothing wrong with, doing good for yourself, moving up the ladder, making, a better living for yourself or for your family, whatever the case scenario is. You know what I mean? But when you're walking around out here like, yeah, you can't tell me shit, and you're looking at people down, and when you think you're all this and that, when you're a slave, remember that. It doesn't matter if you're a manager. It doesn't even matter if you own that Best Buy. You're a slave. Remember, if you have a social security card or a birth certificate, you belong to the bankers. Okay? Lock, stock, and barrel. See that? So you're a proud slave? You're a complete retard. You're a definition of what the world calls a dumbass. Like, for real. See? Alright? So that's the problem, is that once people kind of get a little power in society, they think they're all that. They can't even be told nothing. So that's why the Lord says a lot of these people are gonna, they're gonna die in their ignorance. Because if they don't believe, they're condemned already. Because a lot of people out here, they're in that spirit, and you can't tell me nothing, I worked hard in my life, I worked my way up, you can't tell me nothing, I'm the boss, who are you? See? So fuck it, yeah, who are us? No, the question is, who the fuck are you? You see, because if you don't know the Lord, you're gone. You see? Alright, so that's why we don't care, we don't get worked up, when we're out there teaching, the word, and people pay no never mind, that's fine. But remember, they got no excuse now. So now the Lord is gonna bring that judgment. So this is why the Lord is and we're about to get it right now. Because the Lord is gonna mock the scoffers when their fear comes. Yep. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Okay, so let's go down to let's see. Right here, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 20 on down. Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets. because the prophets are in the streets, in the highways and byways. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, and the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, okay, because that's where you're going to find the prophets. When there's like, in the main cities, in the highways and byways, Verse 22, how long, ye simple ones, will you love simplicity? With a question mark, Because, there's that phrase that, Esau, he can buy a nigga cheap, because they sell out for bullshit, They sell out for bullcrap. And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Because, they hate this knowledge, but that's okay. Because those that don't believe, they are condemned already. There's nothing we can do, What are you going to do, Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. So that's why right now, these leaders around the world are bugging out, because it's being known that their time is up. They're seeing the spaceships. They're seeing the Great Awakening. The nation of Israel, the 12 tribes, are waking back up. So these other nations are petrified. Remember, they may not show it, but they're tripping. Remember, because you can't tell me that they're getting a message that they're about to be slaughtered and they're about to go into slavery. You think they're not tripping? Oh, they're tripping. I don't give a damn. The toughest out there. You don't think that's on their mind? Shit, they're losing sleep. You see? So, of course they're tripping. All right, so Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 24. Because I have called and ye refused. I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. So those are the scoffers, the people who would look at it and say, oh yeah, right, the Lord, the so-called black man, get out of here, now you're going too far, now you're talking shit now, see? But you haven't even checked it out. You're just saying that because you feel that the Lord is a so-called white man, when you haven't even did diligent research. You just, because all you know is that your mama and your daddy taught you, that's what your family did, and that's what you're going to stick to. You haven't even did the research. See, just because your local church teaches that he's a so-called white man, but you don't even search out the church that you go to. You just believe them because it feels right. But with the prophets, you ask us 1,000,001 questions. But when it comes down to your community church, oh, they know it all. You don't ask them any fucking questions because they're in a church. See, so that's how these leaders got the community. Because you see someone, in that position, just because they have that title and they're dressed in that gown and that garment, people assume like, oh yeah, that's the man of the Lord. Yup, we're not going to ask him anything. We're not going to disrespect. There's no way. See, when they're all full of shit, they're all under a 501c3 charter. But when it comes down to the prophets, you got to ask us 1,000,001 questions. See, interrupt us, everything. See, and the Lord's not dealing with these pastors in those churches. Just to let you know, look at Pope Francis. Look what happened to his ass. The day of his open casket, he looked like a fucking pancake. When I saw that, Pope Francis, when he had his open casket, I thought I was watching a commercial at Norm's. I was like, oh, is this a new special of pancakes? What the fuck is this? See, the Lord showing you, he's mocking. He ain't with these preachers and pastors, and he's about to go down the line with all you wicked preachers and pastors out there. Facts. Remember, we're in a time of judgment. Okay, this is something you gotta understand. Huh? Let's hear it. So that's why, just because, someone goes to these church, they just think that, oh yeah, that's the man of the Lord, and we're not gonna ask him. You see? You're not gonna ask them no questions, so that's why they can lie to the world, because you guys, the world, don't ask questions. Just because somebody has a title and they're in that nice church and they have that nice garment, that's it. They're already convinced. See that? But most of those preachers are all pedophiles. Facts. You see? And you haven't even researched what they said. Facts. It's the truth. Proverbs chapter 1 verse 23. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. See that? Because now the Lord is making it known. Okay, who he's with and who he's not with. That's why these Edomites and heathens are tripping. They're all teaming up and stuff. They're trying to stop it. They ain't gonna stop nothing. You know, they're just gonna get beat down and they're going straight into slavery. Yep, that's it, you know. So yeah, they're tripping. They're tripping. You can believe that, you know. Remember, they may put on a face like, you know, everything's all right. They're not all right. Okay, they're tripping. All right, they have these councils and they have meetings. You know, all these higher ups, all the time. Okay, all the time. They're tripping. They are tripping. Because I have called and ye refused. See, I have stretched out my hand and no man regardeth. So, right, because the Lord is calling, you know, the children of Israel, you know, has his prophets out there telling them to repent, but they're not regarding. They're like, yeah, right, you know, you see? All right. Verse 25, but ye have set at naught all my counsel, and with none of my reproof. See? Because you don't consider, you know, you take, you know, a lot of them take the Lord's word for, you know, just for, like, you know, they just mock the Lord. See? Verse 26, I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. See that? Okay, I will mock when your fear cometh. So, right there. All right. So I also will laugh at your calamity. So when you have to go through your troubles, then the Lord's gonna mock you because you've been mocking the Lord. The Lord's gonna mock you through His prophets. Are gonna be laughing at you, and we already are. You know, we already are. You know, facts. You know, the fact that, you know, Russia, the United States, China, Israel, Iran, you know, you guys are all throwing rockets at each other. We're laughing because that's our enemies. You know, those are Edomites and heathens destroying each other. So we're laughing at your bitch asses. You know, like, go ahead, you know, bomb the shit out of each other. We're laughing. We're having a good time because this is not our kingdom. We can give two shits. You know, excuse my Italian, but we're laughing over here, you know, because that's not our kingdom. Shit, you know. Press the button, you know. This place is full of queers. You know, so we're laughing because this is how retarded our enemies are. You know, they're talking down on the Israelites. Meanwhile, they're over here destroying each other. You know, because who's pointing ICBMs at each other? That has nothing to do with the Israelites. That's only you Edomites and heathens. Because you're full-on retards. You're about to fully annihilate each other. You know, and they're looking down on the Israelites. You know, it's like, yeah, go ahead. Who the hell's pointing ICBMs at each other? You guys. You know, remember the heathens and Edomites are retards. Look, because they had the world in control for this amount of years. Why do you think there's animals dying? You know, fishes are beaching themselves. It's because the heathens and Edomites do not know how to rule. See? That's why you're made to be subject underneath the Israelites, because you do not know how to rule. And in their mind, you think you're all that in a bag of chips, but you don't. Just look at the world. It's all messed up. Who's in charge? The Edomites and heathens. See, because they're retards. It's not like that because of the Israelites. It's like that because of you heathens. Because you guys do not know how to rule. It's your system. You're the manager. You can point fingers all you want. But this is why you guys are going to slavery. Because you destroyed the whole world. Yep. See? You know, so it's pretty basic, you know. People can, you know, have their opinion and point fingers all day long. But at the end of the day, who's the manager? Who's in charge? Whose kingdom is this right now? The Edomites and heathens. So, but why is it all like this? Upside down. Because they're retards. Just like that. You know, you ain't gotta say all that. Just facts. See? I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. So the Lord is gonna mock these non-believers when their fear cometh. And it's coming. Verse 27, when your fear cometh as a desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you. Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but shall not find me. Right, because right here, I'm saying they shall call upon me, but I will not answer. Because once your calamity starts to come, then once people start to see their wives raped in front of them, their women, their children, killed in front of them, because that's what's coming. Remember, these soldiers are gonna go house to house. Remember, these elites have top technology out there, top AI, top robots, top drones that are gonna be blowing people away, that are gonna be gunning people down on these streets out here. They got robot dogs that can pick locks. Facts. That can hit you with a missile. You can hide inside your house all you want. They can just hit you with a missile. Imagine. So this is what's coming. So in that day, people are gonna be, then they're gonna be calling upon the Lord. Like, oh my God, please help me. My children. The Lord's like, what happened? You were mocking me, my prophets, the whole time, and my believers. See. So that's what So that's why in that day, the Lord ain't gonna answer them. So right here, let's get it again. Verse 27, Proverbs 1:27. When your fear cometh as a desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. See? Okay, because so then shall you call upon the Lord when all the calamities come. But the Lord's like, man, I'm not going to answer you. You've been mocking this whole time, but I will not answer. See? So the Lord is just going to let those of you that are not covered by the Lord, the Lord's just going to let, Esau have a field day on you. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For that they hated knowledge, and did not choose of the fear of the Lord. Yahweh Shem Yahushai. They would none of my counsel. They despise all my reproof. See? Therefore shall they eat the fruit of their own way, and be filled with their own devices. Right. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them. There it is. Because by you turning away, by you not believing, is only going to get you killed. See? And the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whosoever hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. Right. Because the Lord didn't give us a spirit of fear, but power, love, and sound of mind. Because you know what it is. Remember Isaiah 33:6. But knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times. You see? Alright, because by knowing this word, by knowing the prophecies, alright, by trusting the Lord, you know what's going on and why it's happening. See, so that's major, because you know what's going on and why it's happening. See, because you have that understanding, you have that thawah, So that's why that understanding is very important. See, because not only are you just gonna know, like, okay, yeah, I heard World War III is coming. Okay, I heard Civil War is coming. There might be another pestilence. Oh, remember now there's another variant. That's spreading through the U.S. right now. Remember that pandemic? All right, that pandemic 19. All right, now you have a new variant that's spreading through the U.S. right now. See? So remember, we're about to enter another second lockdown out here, Facts. Oh, yeah. So, right there, so, because, if you know what's happening, that's good and all. But if you know why, that's the understanding, because you got to know what's going on and why it's happening. See? So then you have then you get the understanding, because you understand, okay, look, this is what it is. See? Alright, so with that, Stay prayed up, stay patient, and remember, the Lord's in control. You know, just sit back, put your seatbelt on and let the Lord drive. Trust in the Lord. Let the Lord drive. Okay, He knows what He's doing. All right, put your trust in the Lord. On your feet, soldier. Shalom.